I'm Larry Abel, president of the Maryland Veterans Museum at Patriot Park. Maryland Veterans Museum is located on Route 301, about 8 miles south of La Plata, and there's a big radio tower right next to us, so you can see us for about 8 miles away. The museum represents the story of America from 1776 to the current period of time, and we have 10 galleries from the Revolutionary War to the Gulf Wars that we're currently involved in. This museum started almost 50 years ago with an African American who was in Vietnam. His name was Donald Wade. And he felt that so many of his friends were dying and being maimed in the war that was there, that there should be a memorial for them at some point. So the seed that he had in his mind at that time did not come to fruition until almost 30 years later, when he was serving on the Board of Education, and he started speaking to the county commissioners at that time to have a memorial of some kind. And at that time, it was thought to be just maybe a monument that would list the names. So slowly, as other veterans became involved and this school site became available, the Veterans Committee at that time requested that it be turned over to them for use as a museum. So that's how that it all started. So here we are, 50 years later. The seed that was planted by that young African-American lieutenant now is a full museum with all kinds of exhibits. And I had the opportunity to talk to him before he passed away. And he said, "I am so pleased because it far exceeded any expectations that I ever had." When we first opened the museum, we had about 1,000 square feet of space. And as we were able to develop the museum, get more rooms, basically what happened is we started getting a following. And we found that the families of the county wanted people to remember them, and they wanted their artifacts to live on. And many families that had artifacts, they were worried about what to do with them. They couldn't give them to anybody. So slowly, people started giving artifacts to us. So some of the more interesting things that have happened in terms of artifacts, we had one family that had a German machine gun. Her father had brought back from Germany, and also a Luger. And someone had offered her $25,000 for the machine gun and $9,000 for the Luger. And she said, "Larry, you know, I could give this to my kids and it would be sold in a week. But if I give it to the museum, it will live on forever. So I want to always be able to come back and see that machine gun, and I want my kids to come back and see it, so it is in better hands with the museum."
Hi, I'm Elaine Lawton, and I'm secretary at the Maryland Veterans Museum, and I also work with the Education Committee. We are in the Revolutionary War Room, and we have a variety of exhibits, from the women's exhibit, Maryland 400. We also have Port Tobacco exhibit. Port Tobacco was a thriving metropolitan area at that time. We also have another exhibit from the Battle of Brooklyn Heights, and this diorama was done by an Eagle Scout. Each of the figures were hand-painted. We have acknowledgement of the 1st Rhode Island Regiment, which shows the troops marching, and they were an African-American unit, and they marched from Rhode Island to Yorktown. And we also have just small things that troops would have, like their food, their playing cards. They didn't have any writing on them because they couldn't read. And we also have an encampment exhibit.
I'm Richard Stutz. I'm a retired Chief Master Sergeant from the Air Force. I spent 23 years in the Air Force, and I was in bomb disposal, explosive ordnance disposal. I went to school for that over at Indian Head, Maryland. It used to be the EOD school. And now I am a volunteer at the museum, and I am a board member in charge of building construction and maintenance. Right now we are in the Vietnam room for the Vietnam War, and everything in this room has been donated by people from the Vietnam War, and displays are covering the gamut of the war from all different angles. We have some of the weapons that were used by both the Vietnamese, North Vietnamese, and the South Vietnamese, and also the U.S. forces. We have a big display of that. Here's a mannequin we have that has all the parts of a U.S. Army uniform. This uniform here is actually my uniform that I donated when I stationed in Korat, Thailand. I spent 2 years in Thailand, and this is the actual uniform where I worked in the demolition range where we were destroying all the excess munitions or unserviceable munitions from the war. We also have a diorama here that was commissioned by the Veterans Administration. We built this for a display in their office building up in Washington, D.C. They took it up there, they had it on display for like 6 months. When they were done with it, they donated it to the museum. We also have a tiger cage that the North Vietnamese used to put captured pilots and POWs in to display that. We have a gentleman over here that lives in White Plains. When he spent a year at Da Nang carrying an M60 machine gun. And on the other side, I've had a gentleman that was in the Air Force. He was a liaison between the U.S. Air Force and the Vietnamese Air Force. He lives in Indian Head, so we try to put some local people, local spin to our display. This room was dedicated to a Navy Master Chief. Her name is Bonnie Kaufman, and she was an air traffic controller in the Navy, had 30 years in the Navy. And this room is dedicated to her, and she unfortunately passed away. She had cancer for over 9 years. She'd been fighting it, and it finally got her. But this room has been dedicated to her memory.
If you would like more information about the Maryland Veterans Museum at Patriot Park, please visit our website and you'll be able to find more information. Also follow our Facebook, join up with our Facebook, and all of our major events are located there. And the other thing, if you want, is to schedule a special event. Please feel free to do so. We are available to give tours to groups, and we'll help you with that.